Welcome to the best 100 mysterious curiosities about the ocean that will scare you. Let's begin. 1. 95% of the ocean remains unexplored, meaning we know less about our own planet than we do about the surface of Mars. 2. A phenomenon known as the Bloop exists, an ultra-low frequency sound detected in 1997 that was so powerful it was heard 5,000 kilometers away. It has only recently been attributed to iceberg breaking, though some still believe it was something more. 3. In the abyssal trenches, creatures mutated by extreme pressure live. Some are transparent, and others produce their own light through bioluminescence to hunt in eternal darkness. 4. The Bermuda Triangle is not the only mysterious place. There is the Sargasso Sea, a sea without coasts surrounded by currents that trap ships forever in its dense algae. 5. There are underwater rivers and lakes, dense bodies of water with their own shores and waves that flow on the seafloor and are lethal to any creature that swims into them. 6. Pyrosome crystals are giant colonies of gelatinous tube-shaped organisms that can reach the size of a whale and glow with a ghostly color in the dark. 7. The vampire squid from hell is neither a squid nor an octopus. It is a relic from the prehistoric era that lives in oxygen-free waters and has tentacles with spikes that look straight out of a nightmare. 8. There are boiling points on the seafloor called hydrothermal vents, where superheated, toxin-laden water sustains ecosystems that do not depend on the sun to live. 9. Whale songs can travel thousands of kilometers underwater, but scientists still haven't completely deciphered the complex messages they transmit through the depths. 10. There is a cemetery of ships and planes in the Pacific known as the Pacific Graveyard, where hundreds of vessels have disappeared without a trace or remains. 11. The black sea devil attracts its prey with a bioluminescent lure that sprouts from its head, an appendage that sways like a glowing worm in absolute blackness. 12. The planet has a submerged continent called Zealandia, of which we only know its highest peaks, which are New Zealand and New Caledonia. 13. Immortal jellyfish exist. The Turritopsis dohrnii can reverse its life cycle and return to its juvenile form indefinitely, defying death itself. 14. In 2018, it was discovered that the barrel-eye fish of the Gulf of Mexico has a transparent head and tubular eyes that rotate inside a fluid-filled shield to look upward. 15. The kraken is not just a myth. Colossal squid exist with eyes the size of dinner plates and tentacles with swiveling hooks capable of fighting a sperm whale. 16. There is an area in the Indian Ocean where gravity is weaker, a geological mystery so great that it is known as the largest gravitational hole in the world. 17. The corpses of sinking whales create oases of life on the seafloor called whale falls, which can feed strange creatures for more than 50 years. But 18. The sound of the deep hum is a known phenomenon, an ultra-low frequency sound that travels across the entire planet, the origin of which is completely unknown to science. 19. There are deep-sea bacteria that consume methane and oil, forming giant microbial mats that cover areas the size of Greece on the seafloor. 20. The deep-sea saber-toothed fish has fangs so long in relation to its body that it cannot close its mouth and must guide them into special holes in its head. 21. There is a phenomenon called milky seawater, where large expanses of the ocean lose their transparency and become milky, an event that has baffled sailors for centuries. 22. Giant tube worms live in hydrothermal chimneys, lacking a mouth and digestive system, and survive thanks to symbiotic bacteria that live inside them, processing toxic sulfide. 23. The ocean contains real sunken cities like Yonaguni in Japan, with stone structures that resemble stepped pyramids, whose artificial or natural origin is still debated. 24. The glass squid is completely transparent, with only its eyes and digestive system visible, a perfect camouflage that makes it almost invisible in the water. 25. Underwater lava lakes exist, like the one found in the Cavachi volcano crater, where acidic, bubbling water harbors sharks that swim impassively amidst the extreme heat. 26. The black dragonfish has teeth so long and sharp that they don't fit inside its mouth, so they have developed a hinge in their skull to be able to close it. 27. The sea can glow in the dark, a phenomenon called milky sea, where vast areas of the ocean emit a ghostly blue glow due to bacterial bioluminescence. 28. Creatures called tunicates are cannibals. They filter feed on each other when food is scarce in an act of extreme survival in the depths. 29. The sound of underwater earthquakes can travel through the water at incredible speeds, creating invisible tsunamis that move undetected until they approach the coast. For 30, octopuses have dreams. They change color and texture while sleeping, suggesting they are dreaming of hunting or hiding from predators. 31. A predator called the cold light jellyfish emits flashes of red and blue light, a rare color in the depths that completely stuns and disorients its prey. 32. Seawater is actually blue because it absorbs the red colors of sunlight, but in the depths where light does not reach, the blue color disappears and only absolute darkness remains. 33. There is a fish called the anglerfish that practices sexual parasitism. The male is tiny and fuses with the female's body, becoming little more than a sperm-producing appendage. 34. Corals emit a shrill sound when they are stressed or dying, a sharp crackle that is the soundtrack of collapsing marine ecosystems. 35. The planet has a fifth layer of ocean recently discovered, a dark zone below the abyssal zone called the Hadal Zone, with pressures capable of crushing a submarine like a can. 36. Carnivorous sponges exist that do not filter water. Instead, they deploy filaments with microscopic hooks to trap small swimming animals. 37. The yeti crab has claws covered in silky hair that cultivates bacteria, which it eats or uses to detoxify the poisonous water of the hydrothermal vents where it lives. 38. There is a place in the South Pacific called Point Nemo, the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, the furthest place from any landmass and a cemetery for spacecraft, where there is no visible life for kilometers around. At 39, dolphins use sonar so advanced that they can see the skeleton of other animals and even identify objects inside the stomachs of their prey. 40. The hatchetfish has a body so thin and compressed that it looks like a metal sheet floating in the dark, reflecting any light flash to make itself invisible. 41. Giant viruses exist in the ocean, larger than some bacteria, with genomes so complex that scientists debate whether they are a new form of life. 42. The firefly squid can emit a light so bright and pulsating that from the surface it looks like an underwater fireworks display. 43. A worm called the bobbit worm buries itself in the sand, leaving only its sharp jaws exposed, which trap fish with explosive speed to drag them underground. 44. The ocean has immense deserts called gyres, areas with very few nutrients where almost nothing can live, and which are expanding due to climate change. 45. Electric eels can generate discharges of up to 600 volts, enough to kill a horse, which they use to hunt and defend themselves in murky waters. 46. A predator called the crown of thorn starfish exists, which devours entire coral reefs, leaving behind only a white, dead skeleton. 47. The stonefish is the most venomous fish in the world, with dorsal fin spines that inject a toxin so painful it can cause paralysis and death in hours. 48. There is an acoustic phenomenon called the Rossby whistle, giant oceanic waves that generate a sound so low-pitched it is inaudible to humans but travels across the entire planet. 49. Narwhals do not have a horn. It is actually a super-sensitive tusk with millions of nerve endings that allows them to detect changes in water salinity and pressure. 50. The mantis shrimp can punch with the force of a .22 caliber bullet, creating shockwaves in the water that instantly boil and can break aquarium glass. 51. Jellyfish exist that can clone themselves, creating hundreds of identical copies that form gigantic swarms capable of paralyzing nuclear power plants by clogging water intakes. 52. The goblin shark has a protruding jaw that shoots forward to catch its prey, giving it an appearance so alien it seems straight out of a horror movie. 53. There is a type of algae that produces a neurotoxin so potent that it can poison the air near the coast, causing memory loss and hallucinations in those who breathe it. 54. Octopuses have 3 hearts and blue blood, an extremely efficient circulatory system that allows them to survive in cold, low-oxygen waters. 55. The coconut crab can climb trees and open coconuts with its claws. It is the largest terrestrial arthropod in the world, and its prehistoric appearance is terrifying. 56. Submarine currents called turbidity currents exist. Avalanches of mud and sand that travel at more than 60 kilometers per hour and can bury entire coastal cities. 57. The pufferfish creates intricate circles in the sand on the seafloor as part of a mating ritual, underwater crop circles whose exact purpose still baffles scientists. 58. There is a type of bioluminescent plankton that, when disturbed by a boat or a swimmer, makes the sea look starry, a magical and spectral phenomenon. 59. The Greenland shark can live up to 400 years, meaning some were born before the Industrial Revolution, and their bodies contain toxins from that era. 60. The ocean contains 20 million tons of dissolved gold, but in such minuscule concentrations that extracting it is currently impossible and economically unviable. 61. Sea cucumbers defend themselves by expelling their internal organs through their anus, a sticky and toxic mass that wraps around their attackers while they escape to regenerate later. 62. A fish called the blue parrotfish changes sex from female to male during its life, to ensure the survival of the group when the dominant male dies. 63. Sea sponges can filter thousands of liters of water a day, accumulating toxins and viruses in their tissues, which they then release in a concentrated manner. 64. There is an area in the Atlantic where dead plankton constantly falls like snow, a phenomenon called marine snow that feeds deep-sea creatures and obscures the ocean floor. 65. The shipworm is not a worm, it is a mollusk that feeds on wood and can devour the hulls of ships and piers in a matter of months. 66. Dolphins use sea sponges as tools to protect their snouts while searching for food on the sandy bottom, a cultural behavior passed from mothers to calves. 67. A fish called the black sea devil is so rare and elusive that it has only been recorded a few times, with an appearance so grotesque it looks like an aquatic demon. 68. The ocean has its own space junk, remnants of rockets and satellites that have fallen in Point Nemo and lie on the seafloor as relics of the modern era. 69. Manta rays form large congregations in secret places in the ocean to perform cleaning rituals, where smaller fish deparasitize them in a hypnotic dance. 70. The viperfish has fangs so long that they protrude from its lower jaw when it closes its mouth, teeth that act as cages to prevent its prey from escaping. 71. Bacteria that breathe sulfide and arsenic exist, chemosynthetic life forms that have revolutionized our understanding of the requirements for life. 72. The sound of an iceberg breaking is one of the loudest natural sounds on the planet, a submarine roar that can be heard hundreds of kilometers away. 73. Corals perform a massive synchronized spawning once a year, releasing billions of eggs and sperm into the water in a large white cloud that covers kilometers of the ocean. 74. There is a fish called the kelp that forms long chains of clones that can extend for meters, creating ghostly, gelatinous structures that drift. 75. The hammerhead shark has a T-shaped head that gives it a 360-degree vision, allowing it to see above and below simultaneously to hunt. 76. Worms that live in ice exist, creatures that inhabit the air bubbles trapped in sea ice and survive in conditions of extreme cold. 77. The lionfish is poisonous and highly invasive, a species that spreads rapidly and devours everything in its path without having natural predators in many ecosystems. 78. There is a phenomenon called internal waves, massive waves that travel inside the ocean between layers of different density and can reach the height of a skyscraper. 79. The Japanese spider crab has the largest leg span of any arthropod, up to 3.5 meters, giving it the appearance of a deep-sea monster. 80. Toxic algae can create extensive dead zones, where oxygen is so scarce that no marine life can survive. Aquatic deserts that expand every year. 81. The red-lipped batfish appears to be wearing lipstick, a fish that does not swim, but walks on the seafloor using its modified fins as legs. 82. Underwater ice stalactites called brinicles exist, descending from the surface ice and freezing everything they touch, including starfish and sea urchins. 83. The cookie-cutter shark is a small shark that rips out chunks of flesh from much larger prey, leaving perfect craters with its sucker-like mouth. 84. The ocean regulates the Earth's climate, but global warming is slowing down the main currents, a change that could trigger an ice age in some regions. 85. Mimic octopuses can change their shape and color to resemble more than 15 different animals, from sea snakes to manta rays, to trick predators. 86. There is a type of sea snail whose foot scales are armored with iron sulfide, a snail with metal armor that lives in hydrothermal vents. 87. The pelican eel can swallow prey larger than itself thanks to an extremely elastic stomach, expanding like a balloon after a giant meal. 88. Sea sponges produce chemical compounds that are the basis of many cancer medications, turning the depths into a secret pharmacy. 89. The ocean sunfish, mola mola, is the heaviest bony fish in the world, laying up to 300 million eggs at once to ensure the survival of its species. Misnati, creatures called chimaeras, or ghost sharks, exist, distant relatives of sharks with long, poisonous tails that have changed little since the age of the dinosaurs. 91. The sound of ships and oil exploration is creating acoustic pollution in the ocean that masks natural sounds and disorients marine life. 92. Zebra mussels are an invasive species that reproduce massively and clog pipes and cooling systems of power plants and ships. 93. The barrel-eye fish can rotate its eyes inside its fluid-filled head to look directly up while swimming horizontally. 94. There is a phenomenon called the green flash, a ray of green light seen for an instant when the sun sets on the sea horizon, caused by the refraction of light in the atmosphere. 95. Deep corals can live thousands of years, growing at an extremely slow rate and forming reefs that are the ancient forests of the ocean. 96. The sturgeon is a living fossil that has existed for almost 200 million years, and its eggs are caviar, one of the most expensive foods in the world. 97. Electric eels can use their discharges as radar, emitting low-frequency electrical pulses to navigate and locate prey in murky waters. 98. A worm called the Pompeii worm exists that lives in hydrothermal chimneys and withstands temperatures that would melt most living beings. 99. Antarctic krill form swarms so dense that they can be seen from space, a biomass that sustains most of the life in Antarctica. 100. The ocean holds secrets that we cannot even imagine. With every dive, we discover new species and phenomena that challenge our understanding of life itself. If you liked this trip to the depths, subscribe so you don't miss our next videos. And now on the screen, you have 2 videos that you're sure to love.